Another type of ratio question is having to use a ratio and a given value to work out a missing value. So for this example, we're talking about making squash. So orange concentrate is mixed with water in the ratio 1:6. If 50 millilitres of orange is used, how much water is needed? So remember, for these always in order, so the orange concentrate is the 1 part and the water is 6 parts. So we know our ratio is 1:6. We've been given that in the question. So we know that this 1 here is for our orange, and the 6 is for the water. And sometimes it can just be helpful to label the columns so you don't get confused later on. Right, so we've been told in the question that 50 millilitres of orange is used. So we know that we're going to have 50 millilitres of orange. What we want to work out is how much water do I need. We're going to use my ratio to work that out. So, just like with fractions, whatever I do to one side of the ratio, I then have to do to the other side as well. So, my initial ratio is 1:6, so I've got 1 in the orange column. However, I know I've got 50 millilitres of orange in this question. So what I've got to think about is, how do I get from 1 to 50? What do I multiply or divide by? So obviously, to get from 1 to 50, I've got to times 1 by 50. 1 times 50 equals 50. Now I have to do exactly the same thing to the other side. So I have to multiply this side by 50 as well. So 6 times 50, 6 times 5 is 30, so 6 times 50 is 300. So my missing value here is 300. Units stay the same. So this is my final answer. So the amount of water that I would need is 300 millilitres. Okay, so question similar, except we're going the other way. So same problem. To make squash, we mix concentrate with water in the ratio 1:6. However, I'm now being told that I've got 600 millilitres of water and I want to work out how much orange I need. So again, I might just label my columns just so I don't get confused later on. Right, so I've now been told I have 600 millilitres of water. So that's this side this time, because it's the water that I've been told. And this number here is now my missing number. Apart from that, it's exactly the same as before, in that I need to work out, right, how have I got from 6 to 600? What have I got to multiply 6 by to get to 600? Obviously, 6 times 100 gives me 600, so that's my missing number. Like with equations, what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So I've multiplied this side by 100, which means I have to multiply this side by 100. So 1 times 100 is just 100. Units stay the same. This is my final answer then. So my final answer, the amount of orange that I need is 100 millilitres. What it could ask you to do is work out the total amount of squash that's made. So obviously now we know, right, I know that I'm going to have 600 millilitres of water mixed with 100 millilitres of orange. So if it asks for the total amount of squash, which it could do, all you would do is just add together the amount of water and the amount of orange, which is just, for this example, 600 plus 100, giving you a final answer of 700 millilitres.